Ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Oz. You're on the Eyes is Watching channel. So right after the son of George Soros, Alex Soros posted a picture of a bullet hole in glass and a picture of $47 referencing president number 47. And right after Biden said on a private call, it's time to put Trump in the bullseye, we see a page of revelations playing out. The beast gets struck in the head and the world marvels at how he's still alive. Was Trump really shot with an AR-15, a 223, or a 5.56 round piercing his ear, the round missing his brain by mere centimeters, or was the entire thing staged? What I'm going to do here is lay out the facts of what happened on that day, the inconsistencies, and my favorite, the coincidences. And you can make of this what you will. Great quote to start this off with. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. Sounds like what we're going through right now. Even though we got a lot of chaos happening around the world, a lot of manufactured crises, a lot of people are waking up to it. So even though we are in the age of darkness, a lot of DICs think they're going to pull off their great reset by triggering a financial collapse, worldwide cyber attacks, pandemics, just to justify poisoning billions of people. By doing so, they are waking up some warriors and triggering a great awakening. Now, I can't be the only one here that feels like everything that's been happening to Trump this year feels like a scripted movie. Not a good one either. An unbelievable movie. Literally. From the trials, the debates, and now this. The latest episode of Clown World, where every scene is perfectly scripted from the witch hunt to now a shooting. Where Trump gets grazed with a bullet because he turned his head at the perfect time, dodging death by mere centimeters. And right after, Secret Service agents rush him as he falls to the floor, and as he gets back up, he puts his fist in the air, chanting "fight, fight, fight," in front of an American flag for the perfect campaign photo op. Donald Trump popping up with blood marks on his face resembling the same serpent tongue we see in the NASA logo. Well, ain't that some shit, Scooby-Doo? He got the perfect photo op resembling the famous World War II photo right here. Donald Trump stood up with remarkable bravado, with his fist in the air, and then he yelled, "Get vaccinated." Fun fact, the photographer Doug Mills, who allegedly captured the photo of the bullet, was also the photographer that took the photo of George Bush in the classroom on 9/11. Another coinkydink. Many photographers coming forward saying the same here. Photographers in the field are buzzing about the recent incident involving the photographer Doug Mills. They point out that it's highly unusual to use a 1/8000th shutter speed at 30 frames per second in broad daylight. Such settings are typically reserved for capturing extremely fast actions in great detail. Think of a bullet tearing through the air and hitting its target. This choice of settings has raised many eyebrows here. Many suggest that Mills, the photographer, might have known something extraordinary was about to happen. Why else configure the camera in this way? The consensus is that this setup is a significant tell, hinting at foreknowledge of this event. I've heard from photographers who use top-tier gear, including those who have captured intense moments in war zones, saying the same here. Even in high-stakes situations, they rarely crank their shutter speed that high, preferring to keep ISO levels lower. The settings Mills used would be appropriate for capturing something as fast and dramatic as a headshot or capturing a bullet. Very interesting here what many war correspondents and professional photographers are saying. The choice of such specific extreme settings suggests that Doug Mills wanted to capture something that was rapid and in meticulous detail. Many say he knew what was coming, or maybe that round was photoshopped in there, I don't know. One comment from a pro photographer said coincidentally, the only time he's kept his camera on that same shutter speed is when he was trying to capture a moving bullet. And what are the chances this is the same photographer that took that famous Bush on 9/11 shot in the classroom? I mean, wow. Speaking of 9/11, just days before the September 11th terrorist attacks, Wall Street was buzzing with a flurry of suspicious activity. the DICs started making moves like they knew what was coming. Investors were placing massive bets against two airlines, United Airlines and American Airlines. And wouldn't you know it, these were the same exact airlines hijacked in the attacks. The timing and how specific these trades were nothing short of outrageous, okay? On September 6th and 7th, the Chicago Board Options Exchange recorded a staggering 4,744 put options for United Airlines, compared to a mere 396 call options. Then on September 10, another 4,516 put options were placed on American Airlines, dwarfing the 748 call options bought that day. Notably, no other airline saw such unusual trading activity. These trades yielded a fortune, estimated between $30 million to $40 million. This was not a broad market bet. It was a laser-focused bet on the two airlines that popped up in the spotlight a little later for all the wrong reasons. If you were hedging against the aviation sector, you'd expect a mix of bets across various airlines, but no. These traders zeroed in on just United and American. And get this, those are the only two airlines the so-called terrorists use. And it doesn't just stop there, people. The manufacturer of the hijacked planes and several insurance companies also surged in the month leading up to the attacks. Insurance companies bracing for massive claims saw unusual trading activities, with options trading volume soaring to 45 times the normal level for some stocks, guaranteeing they had foreknowledge of what was to come. Now look what Larry Silverstein did.
World Trade Center deal was super sketchy. Well, you see, just 2 months before 9/11, the World Trade Center was taken private by a man named Larry Silverstein, who ate breakfast on the 91st floor of the North Tower every morning except the day of the tragedy, citing an emergency hospital appointment. What's more fascinating is that he also took out an insurance plan on the entire building that just so happened to cover terrorism. When the dust settled, Larry was awarded a total of $4.5 billion. And even though it can't be proven that this could have been the largest insurance fraud in history, everyone's saying that.
What are the chances, people? Put options against the exact airlines the DICs blame. Now, leading up to the Trump shooting, we see unusual trades that took place. Once again, just a coincidence. Champagne Joshi says this right here. A company called Austin Private Wealth LLC shorted 12 million shares of Donald J. Trump via a put option. The filing date is July 12th, the day before the assassination attempt. They have around $1 billion in assets under management, and this is by far the largest put placed. According to a source, the trade represents 6% of total shares and over 16% of the float of the stock, given the fact that Trump owns 60% of the company. This is a giant bet when you consider their total assets under management. But wait, there's more. To make things even more interesting, my source tipped me off with the following two images from their Bloomberg terminal. The screenshot on the left shows the put by Austin Private Wealth that was taken earlier this morning. It shows 120,000 put options. As you can see, their position is by far the largest. The next closest is Citadel Advisors with 16,770. Here's where it gets interesting. The screenshot to the right was taken later in the day, and poof, Austin Private Wealth is nowhere to be found. Why? And then right after, Austin Private Wealth said it was just a filing error. This is really what happened. So Austin Private Wealth, LLC, majority held by George Soros, of course, Vanguard and BlackRock, took a massive bet against President Trump's Truth Social stock just 1 day before an assassination attempt on Trump. BlackRock, poised to profit from Trump's death, featured the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, in a 2020 promotional video too. Oh, I'm going to cover this a little later. And remember, Alex Soros shared an Atlantic magazine cover with a bullet hole in glass and a photo of cash totaling 47. The firm, connected to the Bush family, counted the late President George Bush as a client, and George Bush was involved in its charitable initiatives. James A. Baker III, a Bush family associate and former Secretary of State, has been the firm's senior policy director since 2006 and likely influenced the large bet. Notably, H.W. Bush once made a death motion toward a TV showing Trump defeating Jeb Bush in the 2016 primary. Now, Austin Private Wealth, LLC, supports major Jewish organizations, including the ACLU, ADL Austin, and Shalom Austin as well. What are the chances, people? Did they expect Trump to really be killed on that day, or did they just place put options on the stock knowing that the staged event would cause distrust in these stocks? You tell me. But symbolism and predictive programming, I'll get into a little later. You know, that's my fave, right? Secret Service diversity hires here, seen fumbling with their guns, trying to protect Trump. Unreal. Look how comical this is. Tell me this doesn't just scream clown world at you. Barely able to keep their guns in and out of a holster. Isn't that just embarrassing? More embarrassing than Ingrid Andress's MLB anthem performance.
That our flag was still there.
Good Lord. It's a tough time to be an ear in America. Check out the 3D animated reenactment right here. So this is what they say happened. Now they're saying a 2.23 round or even a 5.56 round was used to shoot at Trump right here. But what would happen if one of these rounds sped by your ear that close? Well, in reality, if they did, the sound would be incredibly loud and the pressure wave from the bullet passing would cause intense pain. The shock wave would rupture your eardrum, leading to hearing loss and ringing in the ear. You'd possibly have balance issues due to damage to the inner ear structures. Doesn't seem like any of this happened to Trump, though. He got up right away, screaming fight, 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 and was walked off the stage. And the Republican National Convention just so happened to start 2 days after this alleged shooting right here. And don't get me started about what that looked like, okay? Not even sure what I was seeing. Thought I was watching the Oscars. Nothing but inclusivity and diversity being promoted. Total absurdity. They had Amber Rose give a speech about how amazing Trump is. Isn't that just cool? Okay, people, who is more satanic? Marina Abramovic or Amber Rose? It's really hard to tell if you got a side-by-side picture of them. But the RNC, I mean, they literally had a background of the damn pyramid. The all-seeing eye on top with the New World Order written in Latin. You can't make this up, people. And then like a scene out of the movie Idiocracy, Hulk Hogan goes on stage and rips his shirt off. Oh, and mind you, Hulk Hogan was also in the wrestling crew called NWO2. It stood for New World Order then too. And just when you thought he wasn't cultish enough, Trump supporters popped up with bandages on their right ear. What even is that? I don't even know which one is worse. Someone wearing a mask over an imaginary virus or a fake bandage on the right ear to support Trump over a fake shooting. I don't know. But the anomalies, the inconsistencies, and the coincidences that took place at this event has my head spinning. It could rival 9/11 with the coincidences here, okay? Leading up to 9/11, we saw so many shows, movies, references to buildings hit by planes. The September 11th date seen everywhere. Same with the political tensions in the states right now. A movie called Civil War came out earlier this year. The plot being a civil war taking place in the United States, certain states teaming up against the federal government. And take a look at this poster here. Snipers perched up on the Statue of Liberty. I can't be the only one that feels like something is just off about this whole thing, especially considering another movie called Thine Ears Shall Bleed. And this movie was released on July 9th, which was only 4 days before Trump was shot in the ear and saved by divine intervention. Ironically, the movie is about a religious family who follows the voice of God into the woods, but later realizes they were actually deceived by a demon who has trapped them in a strange maze to drive them insane. I mean, thine ears shall bleed, people. Now go wear a bandage on your right ear in support of of Trump. Here's the official story so far. A lone, random 20-year-old manages to stroll within 150 yards of a presidential campaign rally with a rifle, climbs onto a rooftop in full view of Secret Service snipers, sets up his shot, and fires without anyone batting an eye. This politically radicalized young man with no friends or social media records at all was hell-bent on assassinating Trump. That's right, he conveniently leaves no manifesto, has never posted a political rant on social media, and his only notable political act? Well, he registered as a Republican once, as seen right here. Ooh wait, something just ain't right. Buckle up, peeps. This week's segment, You Just Can't Make This Stuff Up, goes like this. The Senate just wrapped up a briefing on the Trump rally shooting, and oh boy, is the official narrative comical. Let's get into it. So Thomas Crooks, our 20-year-old lone wolf, scoped out the rally site days in advance. Fast forward to the day of the incident, he buys a 15 to 20-foot ladder and ammo in the morning. At the rally, he's caught with a rangefinder at the security checkpoint. Despite being marked as a threat, the Secret Service lets him in because, why not? Now, a rangefinder is a device used to measure the distance from the shooter to his target by using laser tech. In this case, Crooks was using it to accurately determine the distance between him and his target, ensuring he could make a precise shot with his rifle, or make it seem that way. This tool is used for shooters to adjust their aim based on the distance, making it an important piece of equipment for anyone planning a long-range shot. Secret Service saw this and just let him in anyway. He then miraculously sneaks his ladder and AR-15 past all security. Crooks is seen climbing a building's ladder with his rifle right in front of Secret Service and a crowd who alerts the authorities. He gets to the roof, sits there in full view of snipers for 1 minute and 52 seconds, and then fires his shots. Now, the official story tells us Crooks makes this shot under extreme stress, using iron sights, on a white roof with glare 147 yards away, in a headwind, in 90-degree heat on a sloped roof. This from a guy who had such a terrible shot he got rejected from his rifle club. Meanwhile, snipers had spotted him 20 minutes before he fired, and there was a 62-minute gap from when he was first photographed as suspicious to when he took his shot. Smooth operators, those snipers. Eyewitnesses claim there were multiple shooters, including one on a water tower who might have escaped. Sound analysis suggests 11 rounds fired in total from 3 different angles. As seen in this video right here, you can clearly see an individual standing on this water tower right here. And right after those shots, this figure is gone. Either shot dead or he just escaped. Now let's hear the shots on that day, because clearly they sound like different shots from different weapons from different angles. Check this out. Okay, let's hear it.
And then that one more. That's the 6 I'm unclear on. Let's listen to this again.
Okay, let's hear that again.
Muffled, and then right? That's what I hear.
The first 3 were different from the next 3, and then the final one didn't sound like the first 2 at all. There were multiple shooters that day. Did this so-called patsy even get 1 round off, or was he just used as that, a patsy? Let's not forget the explosives, people. Crooks had remote controls linked to explosives in his car, along with body armor. More explosives, body armor, and a 3D printer were found in his home, showing he intended to survive. This is actually what they're saying. But wait, it gets better. This young man, who apparently had no friends, no social media activity, and left no manifesto, was supposedly radicalized and determined to assassinate Trump. Where was he radicalized? Normally it would be online, but this person had no records of anything posted online, any internet activity, except, he went on a porn website right before the shooting. Okay, post-nut clarity is not strong in this one. And according to FBI Director Wray, there's no known foreign connection here. Okay, that's what the FBI director said. No established motive. and crooks used encrypted communications and had little to no social media presence. It's just also very neat and tidy, isn't it? Definitely something a 20-year-old weirdo could pull off. But remember, folks, you must accept this story without question, or else you're a conspiracy theorist. Because, of course, assassination attempts of presidents are always straightforward with no conspiracies involved at all. Think back to JFK. Lee Harvey Oswald did it alone, okay? Case closed. Oh, and by the way, the term conspiracy theorist was coined by the CIA after the JFK assassination to discredit anyone who questioned the official story. A random politically radicalized 20-year-old with no friends, no social media activity, and no manifesto manages to outwit the Secret Service and the FBI, carry out a near impossible shot, and then gets killed. And we're supposed to believe this without question. I think this takes the well, ain't that some shit award of the century, folks. But no, this isn't a staged event, you idiot. Someone died. This is what they scream at you to silence you. People die in staged events all the time, you idiot. Wait till you hear about 9/11. Just because something is staged doesn't mean no one dies. Matter of fact, I'm not here to tell you what to believe, okay? I can't know for sure if something is staged or not, but what I will do is provide you with the inconsistencies and the weird details, and you can come to the conclusion yourself. Because as many of you know, we're seeing a psyop take place right now over this shooting. Leading up to this staged false flag, Alex Jones was in the hot seat, being dragged through a kangaroo court for questioning the official story of Sandy Hook. Like it was a play being put on for the masses. A way of saying if you question the official story, no matter how ridiculous, you can end up like Alex Jones. You will be ordered to pay $2 billion to the families that were affected by this incident. You liar. And I brought this up on my podcast last year. YouTube community guidelines were also updated last year. They said if you bring up the term false flag, you will be taken off of YouTube. Anyone that says no one dies at these shootings or questions the official story in any way will be taken off of YouTube. You are violating community guidelines by questioning the official story, by using the term false flag. I mentioned last year how eerie this was, almost like they were setting up for an event they didn't want us to question. So they had their precautions in place beforehand, even using Alex Jones as a scapegoat. Like, see what can happen if you question the official story? So this Thomas Matthew Crooks was also seen in a BlackRock ad years back, which BlackRock suddenly took down after the shooting, of course. Not suspicious at all. So many weird videos popping up of the kid. One of him bragging about his penis size on camera too. It's just insane. So a metal container filled with explosives connected by wires to a receiver was found in his car, capable of being detonated by a remote control he had on him. He never looked up how to make explosives, yet he had both the explosives and a remote detonator. He must have had some assistance and someone guiding him. The only mystery left is who? It's almost comical that CNN is now saying Iran is plotting to assassinate Trump. So there you have it, folks. Case closed. That settles it. We're going to war with Iran. Just non-stop articles saying Iran wanted Trump assassinated. And get this, non-stop articles as well saying this now. These are flooding our news feed, so you can tell there's a psyop at play and they want to blame someone soon. Maybe when Trump gets back into office, he's going to gather new evidence, new details that Iran was involved. And get this, Iran can produce nuclear material for a nuclear bomb in 1 or 2 weeks, says Blinken. Look at this. Endless articles right after this shooting. This is how you know a psyop is at play. Even in Trump's speech, he said now Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon. Would you look at that? Remember the same documents project of the 21st century? Right before George Bush got into office, they had plans of going to war with all these Middle Eastern countries and destabilizing them one after the other, and the last one being Iran. If this happens when Trump gets back into office, guaranteed he's in on the plan and he's a part of the Bush crime family. But we'll wait and see if that's the case. The fact that all of these articles are popping up now saying Iran is about to develop a nuclear weapon tells you what their plan is, okay? They want us to believe that a 20-year-old with severe mental issues could outwit the entire U.S. Secret Service and the FBI, and now they just can't unlock his phone. They don't know what's on it. It's clear Crooks was part of a larger scheme here, okay? It's not as if there's an entire agency dedicated to that or anything. So what is it? Is it the government lying and behind a false flag, or this is just incompetence and we need to fire all of these DEI hires? Is that what it is? This guy spent an average of $300 a month on a single OnlyFans girl. Right. You're telling me there are no traces of him on the internet? Just porn and him subscribing to an OnlyFans girl? And oh, he's also in a Black Rock commercial? Just look at this kid's face right here. I mean, he looks like the type of kid that would post random stuff online all the time. Yet, there's not a single post. Well, folks, the trusty TMZ is back at it. They dropped new footage of Thomas Crooks bragging about having a 10-inch you-know-what. No joke. Clown world, folks. The footage, which surfaced back in February 2020 at Steele Center Career and Technical Education in Jefferson Hills, Pennsylvania. Classmates remember Crooks as a quiet guy who had his moments of being cool and friendly. They said this guy was a whiz with computers. You can dismantle them and put them back together. FBI just came out saying the last thing he searched on his computer was porn. That's right. And we saw a video of the Secret Service doing their best impressions of a Hollywood shootout. Gun down Crooks, who managed to take down one rally goer, they say, and injure two others, and grazed the former president's ear. The Black Rock ad, which has now been pulled, showcased Crooks and a bunch of unpaid high schoolers from Bethel Park High School. Crooks graduated from there in 2022, making this whole thing even more surreal. The ad highlighted a teacher from Bethel Park High School talking about retirement planning and money management. And there's Crooks just sitting there like any other student. Now, clips of this ad are making the rounds on social media. BlackRock controls 90% of all media. Just keep that in mind. President Joe Biden then jumped on the unity bandwagon, proclaiming violence has never been the answer, as if it's a brand new revelation. There's no place for this kind of violence in America, he added. Unless, of course, it's BLM burning down entire cities over a career criminal that died of an overdose. Violence has never been the answer, as he sends another $100 billion to Israel and Ukraine to keep the forever wars going. Kamala Cumrag Harris, unbelievable this woman, came out saying she doesn't condone violence too. Some BS from these puppets. Even Trudeau, the wannabe tyrant, was updated on the script too. What an absolute joke. And then we saw this. Biden said if doctors diagnosed him with a medical condition, he would consider dropping out of the race. Then a few hours later, no joke, he said he's canceling his speech because he tested positive for COVID. I'm guessing it was the BS variant, of course. And my favorite, CTV News. Biden has COVID-19 and didn't wear a mask. The CDC's guidelines say he doesn't have to. Thanks, CTV News. You know, they're always covering the important stories, the questions we're all asking. And some satanic ish is going on here, okay? All of the other puppet Dems saying he should step aside. Okay. Unfortunately, Biden has no idea who the hell they are. And look at this. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told Biden it would be better for the country if he ended his re-election bid. And look at the picture they use here. Good God, how creepy is this dude? Creepy smile throwing up the 666. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Biden's replacement was Klaus Schwab. I read an interesting point here about this. Since when do mainstream media outlets cover Trump's or Kennedy's rallies live? Interesting they picked that day to start. Unreal, right? Another coincidence. It's almost like they were in on the whole thing. The main camera seemed to know exactly when to zoom in right as the Secret Service was clearing people from behind the stage. If this were a genuine deep state plot, wouldn't the shooter have been point blank and the camera zoom conveniently obscure the attempt? Someone asked, but no, our rooftop shooter at 150 meters was just a decoy, they think. That's right, they want us to believe the 20-year-old inbred-looking MF pulled this all off. But let's look at it from this perspective right here. Our supposed shooter is some unfortunate loner that was browsing some questionable content online, and then the deep state picked up on this and realized he's the perfect scapegoat. It really makes you wonder because footage is now coming out of him just wandering around the event looking highly suspicious. While he was on the roof, for half an hour, everyone was just pointing and screaming, "Look, shooter, shooter." Maybe that's why there's no records of him posting anything online. Mossad got everything wiped clean, everything they could find. The more you scrutinize the footage and interviews with the so-called witnesses, the more it seems like an orchestrated magic trick. Even Trump's weird, unnatural stance sometime before the first shot kind of looks a little unusual, I have to say. I did read that it looked like he had something under his suit on his right shoulder. Now, going through some of these comments, this is what some people are saying. They're saying it could have been an artery pump or a syringe adapter. I even read some people think it's WWE style blood capsules. I highly doubt that. They wouldn't use some basic shit like that. There's just no chance. They're saying his actions screamed of a setup. Trump clearly cued the shooter and diverted the audience's attention and gaze to a billboard, which is a classic magician's sleight of hand trick, which is typically used as a technique of misdirection. By getting everyone to look away at the critical moment, he ensured that no one would notice anything unusual. Maybe he wanted attention away from the other shooters about to open fire. On top of that, the other magic trick that took place at the same time was the fake shooter that was set up. The real shooters were probably nowhere near the scene. It actually reminds me of the Las Vegas shooting. Everyone's phones were on the obvious fall guy on the roof. This could have been done to ensure no photos or videos would accidentally catch the real culprits. Look, all I'm saying is the official story they gave us is laughable. Here is an accurate depiction of the official mainstream story of the shooting. That's right, people, right here. Check this out. On top of that, the shooter's DNA came back in record time, although he wasn't under anyone's radar. Clean record, no records online, but yet they have his DNA in a database somewhere. Oh, and by the way, Blackstone is set to acquire Ancestry.com for $4.7 billion, giving investment firm total ownership of all DNA from every person who's ever used the service. So what we do know here is people had their phones out taking pics like this. I mean, come on. And they're saying God stepped in the way and Trump miraculously turned his head at such a perfect timing, the bullet grazed his ear. And the chart he was looking at was the border failure graph because of Biden. Biden's border failure saved Donald Trump's life, if you think about it, because that chart was showing how bad the immigration policies are, how many people are flooding that border every year, right after Biden got in office. I guess you can say Joe Biden's failure at the border saved Donald Trump's life, right? Look at the videos they've been showing here. The FBI ran to the roof with the quickness, getting rid of any evidence on the crime scene as fast as they could, of course, because it's not like the crime scene could hold any clues or anything. Then Trump magically dodges the bullet, stands up with his fist in the air, and then we watch some Israelis dance on top of a white van again. That's right. I'm joking, but I'm not buying the official story. Fun fact, on 9/11, when the planes hit those towers, there were reports of Israelis dancing on top of a white van. And here's something interesting as well. That same white van was hauled off at the Trump shooting. Would you look at that? Nothing to see here. Even though they said Crooks was driving a Hyundai Sonata. You guys let me know in the comments what you guys think here. Another weird thing here is there was no blood on his right hand when he put his fist in the air, the very hand he used to touch his wound. And you do notice the pristine, spotless white collar too. I have to say the whole event does seem fully choreographed here, okay? Even the woman's screams sounded like a pre-recorded soundbite. Who the hell keeps screaming like that over and over again?
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
Sounds like a soundbite out of a theatrical production. Unfortunately, to make the false flag operation appear legitimate, 3 people did have to be shot for real. Some weird people behind Trump too. I do see people pointing this out. This one dude that looks like John Lennon, which Trump happened to point right at before the shooting. This man was seen in another pic wearing a shirt with the words "dodging bullets" on it. Now, of course, this is just random and unusual, not saying it has anything to do with the shooting, but just one of those weird factoids factoids that come along with these false flags. To top it all off, some redhead in a MAGA hat went viral within minutes of the incident. It was on BBC, I believe. They wanted this entire thing to be blamed on the incompetency of the Secret Service. So many posts from conservatives to MSM saying, well, it's all because he had women protecting him, right? Or the Secret Service director was a DEI hire. Just look at her. That's why this happened. Even on CNN, a former Army sniper said he believes the mistakes were intentional here. Mills stated, I've done thousands of counter-sniper operations with our teams in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that were made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness. Well, look at this video right here. This video shows Secret Service and state police scrambling as there was no apparent contingency plan to get the reactionary squad through the fence. Total failure, they say. No one can convince me this was just incompetence, okay? They're showing you endless videos of female Secret Service agents barely able to do their jobs. They're focusing your attention onto the female director of the Secret Service to put the idea in your head that, well, of course this would happen. Just look at who the director is, right? They're trying to blame incompetence, just like with the COVID thing, the vaccine fraud. They're saying, oops, incompetence, we forced you all to get poison. We didn't know about it. We didn't know it was poison. We accidentally mandated poison death shots, okay? That got infants dying suddenly. Just incompetence, people. You can forgive them, right? If the deep state can properly coordinate an event like 9/11 and control all media to push a certain narrative, like convincing billions of people about a lie, even with COVID, convincing people there was a deadly virus going around using fake PCR tests to give the illusion of a pandemic, you really don't think it would be possible for them to stage an event like this? Take a look at one of the snipers here rocking the Kabbalah bracelet just like Tucker Carlson. They saw the dude with a rifle aiming at Trump and waited for the perfect moment to finally take this dude out. Trump fell down only to stand back up covered in Heinz ketchup. I'm kidding, of course. No idea what it was, but man. But tell me this is not the perfect position for this legendary photo op. I gotta say, what a great photo. The moment Trump asked everyone to look at the billboard is when the shooter opened fire. And they say that because Trump turned his head just a few inches, the bullet with the chemtrail behind it missed him. That's right, the bullet had geoengineering tech too. What are the chances? Captured by the same guy that captured the famous 9/11 photo of Bush in the classroom. Unbelievable. And also, what are the chances of this? The Illuminati card deck. There was a Trump card. Right? Look at this card. Tell me that doesn't look like Trump. Remember this 1995 Illuminati card game? You know, the one that's been predicting world events with perfect accuracy? Well, there's a card in there that's got everyone freaking out because it features what looks to be suspiciously like Trump with something whizzing by his head, it looks like, right? This could be one of the final cards before the proverbial apocalypse. Right before the last card, ominously titled Tape Runs Out, maybe? The card in question is called Enough is Enough, and it proclaims that at any time, at any place, our snipers can drop you. Unbelievable. How crazy is that? Sounds like the perfect fit for the recent drama surrounding Trump, right? Some folks are even calling it the Trump Beast Head Wound Ritual, claiming it's all part of a prophecy unfolding right before our eyes. They're linking it to Revelation 13:3 and saying we're witnessing the rise of the Cabal's symbolized Antichrist. Let's rewind a bit. The Illuminati card game was first unleashed upon the world in 1982 by none other than occultist Steve Jackson was his name. Players control secret societies, hell-bent on global domination. The game was a hit, scooping up awards left and right. Now, as time marched on, Steve Jackson games churned out expansion sets like Illuminati Brainwash, Illuminati Mutual Assured Distraction, Illuminati Bavarian Fire Drill, and Illuminati Y2K. Each new set piled on more layers of mystery and hints about the real Illuminati's future plans. The game reached peak controversy with the 1994 and 1995 release of Illuminati New World Order. This was a 412 card collectible extravaganza. This version didn't just raise eyebrows, it dropped jaws. Among its most notorious cards were those seemingly predicting 9/11 and the Pentagon attacks of 2001. People began to wonder if Steve Jackson was in cahoots with the Illuminati himself, with some even suggesting he had insider knowledge of their, larger schemes. After all, the Illuminati loves to tease their plans in Hollywood movies, so why not in the card game too? Fast forward to today, the Illuminati card game from the 90s is back in the spotlight. Everyone's talking about this because of this one card here. I mean, some cards mirror modern events quite perfectly, like 9/11. They predicted Antifa, Soros, adrenochrome, pandemics, the whole shebang, people. Just step by step, the whole damn plan coincidentally laid out in a 90s card game called the Illuminati New World Order. Okay? So is the Enough is Enough card the harbinger of the end times? Are we living out the last few moves of a grand Illuminati chess game? Or is it all just a series of weird coincidences perfectly in order wrapped up in a vintage card game? Well, I don't believe in coincidences this outrageous, okay? Some say the card is actually of Hulk Hogan, okay? Because that's what it looks like. Because he did say enough is enough while giving his speech at the RNC. Just like Pokemon introducing a character called Gumshoes in 2016. And well, take a look at this character right here. You got Donald Trump's hair and a ear that looks like it's split, suffering from a gunshot wound. Can you believe this in 2016? And it's crazy that just prior to Trump's assassination attempt, in quotes, they had Bohemian Grove rituals being exposed. Someone snuck in again, Alex Jones style. I don't know how both of them got in there, but he filmed it. He filmed this satanic ritual with all the world's politicians coming together and basically worshiping a large owl, worshiping Moloch, sacrificing a human effigy. What kind of ish is this? Look at this. Now, many of you, I'm sure, have seen this. People have sent me this left and right. A YouTuber shared a prediction a few months back. He said he saw a dream that Trump would be shot. I'll give you a summary of it. The dream started with a surge of new patriotism emerging across the United States, symbolized by a red wave beginning in Michigan and spreading like wildfire, especially through Oklahoma, where people with torches ignited a new spirit of nationalism. Amid this rising tide, Trump was prominently featured. The dream then took a darker turn as the user saw an assassination attempt on Trump. A bullet flew so close to his head that it ruptured his eardrum, causing him to fall to his knees. The man said this months back. He said Jesus came to him in his dream and showed him these visions. In this moment of crisis, he said Trump experienced a profound religious awakening, becoming fervently devoted to Jesus. Despite the peril, Trump's faith grew stronger and he garnered immense support from people who began interceding for him. The vision continued, showing Trump winning the presidency again, but not without great struggle. He faced significant legal challenges and persecution from judges and lawmakers. This period of adversity extended into the summer, but eventually began to wane towards the fall, leading to his ultimate victory. Following his victory, this man said he also saw this in his dream. He foresaw a severe economic crash, worse than the Great Depression, bringing a period of darkness and hardship across America. Amid this turmoil, Trump was depicted praying earnestly in the Oval Office, surrounded by ministers and possibly senators of congresspeople, all interceding with a palpable sense of divine presence. However, the dream ended on a hopeful note. Despite the financial crisis, a revival was predicted, lifting the nation from the dark times. The person that predicted this emphasized that this period of struggle was not a judgment, but a correction, bringing about a great revival and a return to better times. His message was clear. He said the sky is not falling. It was merely a season of shaking, signaling that America was not finished and that good times would return. And many people have been sending me this video. Quite interesting, I must say, but you can't tell me something doesn't feel very weird about this. This is the first time I've really got chills about what is going on here. This feels like a scripted movie playing out. When I saw the footage of the Trump shooting in quotes, I can't say for sure what exactly happened, but my bullshit radar was going off. Okay, that's for sure. Something seriously creepy is playing out here. Interesting side note, last year's headline, New York Post headline, Trump raises $6.6 million in 6 days after federal charges. Oh, what a great number. 666 you say, huh? Look, I mentioned last year in one of my videos that so many were saying Trump could be the Antichrist. Now, I'm not saying this is what I believe or not, but this is what people were telling me last year. After I was told this, I did my own research on what it says in Revelations. Now, this will make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. This article was years back, and this is what it mentions about the Antichrist, or the beast, in quotes. The Bible reveals in Revelation 13 that the beast, or Antichrist, receives what appears to be a death stroke. What is going to occur at the middle of the 7-year tribulation period? Is the Antichrist going to die and be raised from the dead by the power of Satan? Or will his death to life scenario only be a stunt designed to fool the world? Let me repeat, or will his death to life scenario only be a stunt designed to fool the world? Last year, I've had many conversations about this with my cousin. He truly believes Trump is the Antichrist. As a matter of fact, we've spoke about it many times, and he said that if he gets shot in the head and survives, he's going to be convinced that he's the Antichrist. And I said, you know what? We'll see it play out and we'll see what happens, okay? We had many discussions about this. So you can imagine how I felt waking up, and I start editing my podcast because I usually record it on Fridays. I finish editing on Saturday, then I upload it, right? So while I'm editing the podcast, I see it on the news. So you can imagine how I felt. You can imagine how my cousin felt. It is wild to see that. Matter of fact, my cousin has a whole thread of the upcoming staged Trump assassination he's been preparing for at least a year or so leading up to this event, okay? It's MES on Twitter. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it right here. As seen here, I mean, this was just in, when did he post this? In June 14. Join me as I deep dive into the many instances seemingly foreshadowing Donald Trump's upcoming fake assassination and recovery. Unlike other claims of predictive programming, this one is for an event that has not happened yet. Now check this out right here. Even the screenshot of Snoop Dogg in his music video with a gun to Donald Trump's head. How insane is this? So yeah, there's a lot of people that were saying this was going to happen, and it is quite baffling, okay? And let's be very clear. The DICs always pull a big event like this right after I'm finished recording my podcast. It always happens, just so I don't talk about it right away. It's wild. It happened with the October 7 Israel attack, in quotes. Happens right after I'm finished recording. And right when I drop the podcast, everyone's expecting me to talk about it. I'm like, I already finished recording it. So it's clear that if there's a next psyop, if there's a next big attack, it's going to happen on either Friday night or Saturday. Guaranteed, okay? Those are the days. And to the person that had a vision of Trump getting grazed by a bullet in some kind of prophetic warning, he believes God told him this in his dream. Was it God, or was it something else? Is he being used to prop up the false messiah as well? You better believe at this point, after this shooting, Trump could actually shoot someone and not lose voters. Well, he said it himself. Hell, he can even sign Operation Warp Speed through and poison billions of men, women, and children on Earth, making heart disease normal in infants, and still get votes. Now, last podcast, I ended with Baba Vanga's prediction, a blind mystic that has gotten a few predictions right in the past from 9/11 to Brexit. She was saying 2025 will be the beginning of the end. I finished recording the podcast one day before the Trump shooting, in quotes. I said, those in power are trying to manifest prophecies by scripting their own revelations. They believe that if enough people believe in it, then it will happen. Trump is being propped up as the false messiah. Leading up to this event, we've seen thousands, and I do mean literally thousands of comparisons of Trump to Jesus. Mainstream news also linking the two. Creepy ain't even the word, people. And right after the shooting, they say the American flag got tangled up in a random coincidence to look like Jesus Christ dying on the cross. Now, I've given this man right here Bozo of the Week award many times, the one and only Sam Harris, Mr. Black Belt Atheist Intellectual. That still won't admit he was wrong about COVID and the death shots, maybe because he was in on it, hired by the CIA to push propaganda. Right alongside Yuval Noah Harari, they're now doing tours together. Unreal. But he also has this weird obsession with Trump I find kind of weird. I mean, the only good thing about Trump, I would say, in my opinion, would be watching libtards go into absolute psychotic episodes when talking about him. It just doesn't make sense.
Trash! He's a neo-Nazi loser! Donald Trump is trash! Donald Trump is trash! Donald Trump is trash! Donald Trump is a crybaby loser!
Sam Harris wrote a piece about this shooting on his Substack, and I just had to read it because I knew there would be some hilarious BS in it. I also love seeing Sam Harris have a meltdown. It's actually kind of funny. But the words he's using here are just something else. A lot of people seem to inadvertently explain what the plans are and the purpose of such staged events without actually knowing it. For example, Bill Maher, he said Biden can't get through a debate and a bullet can't stop Donald Trump. It almost doesn't matter who the Democrats put up now. Exactly. That's the point. After this, do you think anyone stands a chance in defeating Mr. Operation Warp Speed? It's almost like these events are designed to make people worship Donald Trump. Just saying, it does seem that way. After all, Jesus Christ himself stood in front of that bullet and said, no, 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 not today, but allowed a firefighter to be killed though? He just liked Donald Trump that much, I guess, right? But let's read what Sam Harris says right here. And keep in mind, just like Bill Maher, they unknowingly explain the exact agenda without seeming to realize that's what it is. A piece called Stepping Back from the Precipice by Sam Harris. He says no one has done more to destroy civility and basic decency in our politics than Donald Trump. No one, in fact, has done more to increase the threat of political violence unlike any president in modern history. Trump brings out the worst in both his enemies and his friends. His influence on American life seems almost supernaturally pernicious. That last sentence is quite eerie. His influence on Americans seems supernaturally pernicious. I have to say that I do agree with that. There's something biblical going on here. Whether you believe it or don't, you can't tell me this doesn't seem interesting either way. And finally, the last paragraph here from Sam Harris says, the problem for Democrats is that any observation of this second truth, a truth that seems likely to darken and expand in the aftermath of yesterday's attack, will now be condemned as rancorous and immoral, or worse, as an incitement to further political violence. Every necessary criticism of Trump's authoritarianism, fondness for dictators, fraudulence, personal corruption, hostility to the rule of law, and fathomless dishonesty will make mistaken for or cynically construed as a symptom of the very political disease we must cure. Telling the truth about the actual risks that Trump and Trumpism will still pose to our democracy just became more difficult. It's weird because he's saying it without actually saying it. Now, damn sure someone like Sam doesn't believe this event could ever be staged, of course. I mean, this is the same man that believes Saudis hijacked the planes on 9/11 with box cutters and flew them into the World Trade and Pentagon. But he, alongside many others, aren't realizing how something like this could be staged. Another problem, reaction, solution type of event. Whether you believe the event was real or not, let me give you this scenario. A young, radicalized individual is orchestrated to carry out an assassination attempt on Mr. Orange Man. This individual is portrayed as a lone wolf with extreme political views. Following the attempt, mainstream news and alternative news and even public discourse will start pushing the narrative that any criticism of Trump from this point on is dangerous and could lead to similar acts of violence. If we mention he's a puppet, a collaborator with the deep state, he purposely signed Operation Warp Speed, knowing it would injure billions and kill millions. Bring any of this up, and you're probably another Thomas Crook type of radical individual, damn it. You should be investigated by the FBI. By framing the event in this way, any critical commentary about Trump's behavior and policies will quickly be labeled as inciting violence. This will be an effective way at stifling legitimate concerns about his actions. Any critics are painted as radicals, making it difficult to address the real issues without facing backlash or accusations of promoting violence. Remember, right after 9/11, you're either with us or the terrorists. And now it's, if you think the Trump assassination was staged, you're with those Iranian terrorists, damn it. Because no joke, CNN is trying to link Iran to this now. Now just imagine Trump gets back in office and finds out new information linking Iran to this assassination attempt. As get back for his order to kill the Iranian military leader. You guys remember that? Iran offers $80 million bounty on Trump for general's killing. Remember this? Case closed, folks. It was Iran. Time to send our kids to die in another Middle Eastern war, okay? But back to the point. After this event, speaking out against Trump will be seen as potentially dangerous. This is designed to silence and discredit critics. How coincidental. This event is just perfect and shields Trump from any criticism. Well, it's time for Operation Warp Speed 2.0 for bird flu shots. And all the videos on YouTube questioning this event are just questioning where the shooter was, if there was two shooters or not. If you say it's a false flag or you downplay the severity of it, you will be taken off of YouTube. That's why someone needed to die. Because someone died, now you can't downplay the severity of it. They actually say this in the YouTube rules. If someone dies in this event and you minimize the severity of it, you will be taken off of YouTube. If you use the term false flag, you will be taken off of YouTube. Unless you are a controlled opposition figure, then you can say almost anything, as long as you slide in some half-truths. Isn't that right, Mr. Russell Brand? And who is Donald Trump's vice president? Well, we got J.D. Vance. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea who the hell this was. Up until this point, I had no idea who J.D. Vance was. There's footage of him a few years back calling himself a never Trumper, aggressively promoting Hillary Clinton for president and whatnot. This is J.D. Vance and his wife right here. As you can see, she is Indian and he has half Indian babies. So you can already understand what his stance on immigration is going to be. We already know. Prepare for your cities to look like London, okay? Entire cities on fire. Multiculturalism, folks. Ain't nothing like it. But get this. Donald Trump called RFK to congratulate him, it seems like, on this leaked footage. Donald Trump called RFK and said this.
I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. And it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's just massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago. And
crazy.
I would love you to do something. And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of them.
How crazy is that? So Trump is, in this video, questioning the childhood vaccines now, agreeing with RFK on the vaccine issue. Well, that's weird because just a few months ago, Trump said this about RFK's vaccine stance. Now, you can read the whole tweet if you want here, but let's read this one part in particular. I'd even take Biden over RFK because our country would last a year or two longer prior to collapse, but it would be dead either way. His views on vaccines are fake. Fake is in capitals, mind you, as is everything else about his candidacy. Let the Democrats have RFK Jr. They deserve him. Wow. Okay, so just a few months later, RFK gets a call from Trump, and Trump suddenly agrees about how dangerous injecting children with deadly toxins is. How crazy is that? He was saying there's something definitely wrong about that. Yet he still signed Operation Warp Speed through the same jabs that got infants dying suddenly. Can you imagine? Trump is secretly an anti-vaxxer, knows they're all poison, but will still openly promote them in public to everyone, including his supporters. And this could be the case with Mr. Anti-Vax RFK in quotes, because he could be just playing this role for the public when behind the scenes he demands everyone to be vaccinated in order to come to his event, and then he blames it on his controlling bossy wife. Well, she's the one that wanted it. I couldn't have any say. I don't know which one's more pathetic, but good God, it just goes to show the puppets that we're dealing with right here. Now, they say this footage was leaked just to get the anti-vaxxers on Trump's side. It would make sense because the things he's saying on this video seems to be on purpose just to get the anti-vaxxers that are against Trump for Operation Warp Speed. It's like he's trying to get that fan base back on his side, and that's why this video was leaked here. If he truly was anti-vax, he would definitely denounce the COVID vaccines, which he never will. He calls himself the father of the vaccine still, but he selected J.D. Vance as his VP. And J.D. Vance has multiple companies, including one called Naria Capital, which is an investor in Amplify Bio, which is in partnership with companies that manufacture mRNA vaccines. Can you believe this? So this whole idea that Donald Trump is an anti-vaxxer, oh, look at what he said to RFK. He's waking up. He's an anti-vaxxer. It's like, okay, why did he select J.D. Vance to be his VP? And J.D. Vance is going to have his hand in manufacturing millions of mRNA vaccines. What are they preparing for next? Are they preparing for a Plandemic 2.0 with bird flu shots, Operation Warp Speed 2.0 coming soon? And this time he picked a VP that has his hands in the manufacturing of millions of these shots. It's insane. Oh, Trump is an anti-vaxxer. Yeah, right. Something seems really fishy about this whole thing. But let's get back to the biblical prophecies unfolding, folks. I will play a part of my last podcast here. This was about Baba Vanga's predictions for 2025. She predicts the beginning of the end times start in 2025. Now, mind you guys, I recorded this before the Donald Trump stuff happened. Okay. And the next day I finished editing my podcast. So I was able to edit a clip of the Trump shooting into the podcast because it happened that day, but I didn't record the podcast on the day of the shooting. But this is what I said at the end of last podcast. She predicts that a devastating global event, potentially signaling the end of the world as we know it, will unfold in that year. While specifics are scarce, her track record of accurate predictions has many taking her warning seriously. With previous correct forecasts, including the 9/11 attacks and Brexit, her latest prediction carries significant weight, describing it as the commencement of the end times, in quotes. According to the blind mystic, the world will experience unparalleled chaos and destruction, she says, potentially leading to a catastrophic world war. Now keep in mind, she has made accurate predictions in the past. Vanga had another prediction of a large-scale environmental disaster and a significant shift in global power dynamics. Could the environmental disaster that she's predicting be something caused by geoengineering? Piecing together all of these predictions here, 2024, as I mentioned, the year of Saturn, is filled with symbolic significance. Saturn, often associated with chaos, destruction, and rebirth, helps us understand this year's events a little better, implying a period of major turmoil and setting the stage for what Baba Vanga foresees in 2025. Saturn, often associated with the black cube, and no, I'm not talking about Ice Cube, it's actually seen in many occults as satanic. A lot of satanic secret societies worship the black cube. So this could be the year the DICs push their satanic influence and accelerate their agenda while the controllers orchestrate events to align with these dark predictions. It's like they want the end times prophecies to be fulfilled. I mean, so far in 2024, we are witnessing political tensions, economic instability, social unrest, announcements of new pandemics, extreme weather events, new puppet faces being put in place around the world at the same time. It's like chess pieces being strategically moved to set the stage for the prophesized cataclysm in 2025. The world unknowingly following an end-time prophecy. It's like this year is a prelude to the upcoming apocalyptic event, with the world's powers unknowingly and some knowingly contributing to the chaos. Is it just a coincidence that in the year of Saturn, those in power are setting the foundation for a new world order born out of chaos and destruction? Although Baba Vanga's prediction is just a prediction, it does seem like we're seeing a carefully crafted plan unfolding. Her vision aligns too closely with the world's current trajectory to be just ruled out as a fantasy. Are we watching the final act unfold here? In a world where President Biden could mistakenly introduce Zelensky as Putin, it makes you wonder if there are no good or bad sides. It's just soulless puppets playing their roles in the coordinated takedown of the old world. What do the upcoming months have in store for us? Are they going to set the stage for the big event in 2025? Well, I recorded that the day before the shooting. How crazy is that? Let me repeat what I said at the end of that last podcast. Keep in mind I recorded this before the Trump incident took place. This could be the year the controllers push their satanic influence, where the controllers orchestrate events to align with these dark predictions. They think if enough people believe in it, it will happen. They want to manifest a prophecy by orchestrating manufactured events just like this one, like the red heifers. They're saying a red heifer was born in 2018, and they announced his birth on a YouTube channel and claimed the red female calf brings the promise of reinstating biblical purity to the world. The video shows the calf with its mother and proclaims a perfectly red heifer was born in the land of Israel. The calf has since undergone extensive examination by rabbinical experts, who confirmed she is a viable candidate for the biblical red heifer. The prophecy says the cow must be red without blemish. In both Christianity and Judaism, red heifers feature in tales about the end of times. I'm asking everyone in the world to unite. It matters now more than ever, as you can see. Also says here, the red heifer brings the promise of reinstating biblical purity to the world and the rebuilding of the holy temple. They're saying something about Donald Trump coming back into office and also helping build that third temple somewhere in Jerusalem. Can you believe it? It's like they really are trying to manifest some kind of prophecy here. And what are the chances, people? Right after this Trump shooting, mind you, after the Trump shooting in quotes, 2 days later, the RNC just happens to begin. Wow, what a perfect campaign promo, right? Unbelievable. And then just a few days later, we must prepare for the frightening scenario of a worldwide cyber attack. Let's give Klaus Schwab his props, okay? Thanks for giving us a heads up, Klaus. Always just lets us know what's going to happen. But don't worry, it's just a prediction. He had no idea, no foreknowledge whatsoever. But the amount of cyber attacks taking place is really on another level. No one can convince me all of this is just by accident. I stayed up really late last night because this news was coming out. Article after article, news story after news story, saying this. Major outage causing havoc on global computer systems on Friday, grounding flights in the United States, derailing television broadcasts in the UK, and impacting telecommunications in Australia. Microsoft services outages is affecting millions of users worldwide. Major banks, media, airports, and airlines affected by major IT outage. Payment systems impacted in different parts of the world, including Australia and the UK. Australia's government calls for emergency meetings. Significant disruptions to some Microsoft services. 911 services disrupted in several U.S. states, including Alaska, Arizona, Indiana, Minnesota, New Hampshire, and Ohio. Services at London Stock Exchange disrupted. Sky News is off the air. They're relating the global problem to a cybersecurity firm called CrowdStrike, which is also majority owned by BlackRock. How insane is all of this? Yeah, top shareholders for CrowdStrike, BlackRock, Vanguard, Morgan Stanley. A comment here from Ellie A says, the company my husband works for relies heavily on CrowdStrike and they could do very little this morning. Basically at a standstill. It'll take them a while to recover and cost them. Oh my God, look at this. Cybersecurity experts say this is set to be the biggest IT outage in history, as CrowdStrike shares plunged 20% in pre-market trading in New York. But CrowdStrike CEO stated that the outage was not caused by a cyber attack. Ray_Mo_G says this: I don't think you guys fully grasp how big this is. Around 1 billion computers are bricked worldwide, mostly corporate ones. This isn't just an online service going down for a few hours. Every affected computer needs to be rebooted in fail mode and have a driver manually removed. Most corporate computers given to employees don't let users do this themselves. Even if they could, imagine every single double-digit IQ wagey trying to handle a moderately complex task when many don't even know what a file is anymore. I can't stress enough the scale of this happening. Chaos at Milwaukee Airport. Look at the chaos here. This is just absurd. Wow. What are the chances? Even the pay yourself sections in the grocery store has that blue screen of death. Oh, do I hate that blue screen of death. When I'm trying to edit the podcast, sometimes my computer gets overworked and I get that blue screen of death right there, and it's heartbreaking because I don't even know if I saved my work or not. Oh my God. Hours of work could be just thrown away if you don't save it. But check this out right here. This is what a cyber apocalypse looks like. CrowdStrike antivirus has broken Windows worldwide, affecting systems in the US, Britain, Germany, Japan, Israel, India, and other countries. You have to put your computer in safe mode, removing certain software components. Oh God, traveling would be unbearable during this. Just insane. The biggest IT outage in history. What are the chances? Does anyone think this is just a coincidence, or are they preparing for something big? Just like that person that had the prophecies in his dream, God told him that Trump is going to get back in office and there's going to be a major economic crash worse than the Great Depression. Guaranteed it's going to be caused by a cyber attack, in quotes, a cyber pandemic, as Klaus Schwab said. Great reset in 3, 2, well, it's coming. London stock market hit by technical glitch at the same time. Unbelievable, people. And what are the chances the movie came out early this year as well, called Leave the World Behind, where they show a massive cyber attack that shuts everything down, causes total chaos, which ends up causing a civil war as well. And then this happens. This clearly is a test run, folks, for the next big one. And we can guarantee that's going to happen soon. As you can see right here, CrowdStrike on the World Economic Forum website. CrowdStrike is a leading provider of next generation endpoint protection, threat intelligence, and incident response services. But yet Klaus Schwab said a massive cyber attack is going to happen that's going to make COVID seem minuscule. You see how COVID shut down airports, all traveling? Well, what do you think this massive cyber attack would do? I mean, they could shut down traveling for months at a time. Yeah, once again, CrowdStrike is affected by that DEI woke mind virus, destroying everything. Diversity, equity, and inclusion at CrowdStrike. Check this out. We're building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture that fuels creativity, innovation, and a sense of belonging, helping people achieve their best work in a supportive environment. Hey, lady, do you know anything about IT, cybersecurity? No? Yeah, whatever. Just, you're the director now. You're the director of CrowdStrike, okay? Just learn as you go. What's the worst that could happen? We need a woman of color at the head of this, okay? And they're saying that CrowdStrike, the server is located in Ukraine. Can you believe that? Here's the CEO of CrowdStrike right here, Lulu Cheng Meservy. She said, I'm the CEO. I'm devastated to see the scale of today's outage, and we'll be personally working on it together with our team until it's fully fixed for every single user. You thought I was joking. They put her at the head right there. They needed a woman of color, I'm telling you. But what are the chances all of these different sections and different systems get affected all at the same time? I mean, clearly some kind of major event is set to come here, and it could be a cyber attack. Danish PM said live on Fox News. Check this out.
When you see what Russia is doing in Africa and the Middle East and West Balkan, it's all bad news for those of us who believe in human rights, democracy, freedom, prosperity, and a global world order. When you see what
a global world order. She hates Putin because she's saying he is going to disrupt the global world order they have planned. And this is getting long, people. I gotta stop it right there. If you like what I do here, if you want to support this channel, it is greatly appreciated. You guys hit those links in the description. Maybe send a one-time donation or subscribe monthly to my Patreon or Subscribe Star. On Patreon, you could subscribe as little as $1 a month. It'll greatly help this channel. Everything you see here done by myself. So if you appreciate the effort that goes into this, please consider hitting those links in the description. Maybe send a one-time donation or purchase the Eyes Wide Open organic coffee from Gustavus, Alaska. It is great coffee, my favorite. Not only will you be supporting this channel, but you will be supporting a small business over there in Alaska. If you guys have anything cool to send me, my emails are in the description as well. steve-iz@hotmail.com. Eyes is watching, no G, at gmail.com, or realsteveeyes@gmail.com. Send me cool things, cool videos, interesting links, things I can talk about on this podcast. Until next week, folks, until next time, this is Steve Eyes. You're on the Eyes is Watching channel, signing off.